Whenever you're ready.
Wow.
Bar's opening it.
All right.
Where's the fez?
The fez is right here. There we go. Look at
There
that.
we go.
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. Well, all right, let's get started. It was I'm excited to talk to you both about the film Blackpool, and I loved it obviously, and the acting by Andrew was awesome.
Thank you.
But the directing, the writing, I think some things that like stood out to me is it felt like every shot was very meticulously planned or thought. There's a lot of intention behind it, like trying to give you this sense of this town or city, and there's like some shots that you would see for like a split second, but you could tell there's a lot of thought put into that shot, even though it barely appeared. There's a lot of quick cuts and that were really awesome, and yeah, and I there's just some like powerful moments that stood out as well, like kind of the flashback and the part in the ocean. So yeah, let's get into the film. But before we do that, if you both could introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about how you got into film. I know Stephen in our last interview already did this, but if you could just do it again, and yeah, and Andrew as well.
Yeah. And Andy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, so hello, my name is Andrew Ellis. I'm an actor and a producer on Blackpool. I've been acting for 20 years now, started at 15, and I've been lucky enough to have a career in acting. And yeah, producing Blackpool and other shorts and things.
Awesome.
He was extremely humble there. He got his break in acting in a very little film called This Is England. Just a little one that branched off and did 3 phenomenal series as well. And yeah, awesome. I got to know Andy about nearly 15 years ago, I think now, on another little
probably
film that started a friend of ours' career, and he's gone on to do some incredible things. So big shout out to Brady Hood for putting us 2 together. And then yeah, as I said before, I'm Stephen. I got into filmmaking. I mean, I wanted to do it since I was 8 years old. Like, my dad showed me Jaws and Jurassic Park. Probably he knew it was at too influential an age as well, and then had to deal with the consequences of me having nightmares. But it was my dad really got me into film. His love of film got me into it, and then I wanted to be an actor, and then decided to stick to the directing stuff and a bit of writing. And then, funnily enough, what's really sweet about doing Blackpool is obviously because it's set in my hometown. That's where I started doing all my acting and some of my very first little bits of short films and stuff. So it was really nice to go back and get to film something in my hometown, which was really, really fun.
Okay, so that you're from that town coincidentally, because you didn't write it, but did someone come to you with the script, or you found it, or how did that work?
Yeah, so Phil came to us with this with the script. It's based on a play, well, very loosely based on a play that he'd written before, and we changed it up for film. We tried to make it as a feature for a while, and then we were like, look, we should do a proof of concept. And so Phil started reworking it for this short, and we added in, Parrot, which he'd written into the feature, which was, he'd written this like one moment with Parrot, and I was like, God, he'd be great as like this reoccurring character that came in. And so when we put the short together and Phil started writing it, it was like he just fits so well into that world. And it was, what makes a film about suicide kind of have this really meaningful moment, but you've got the levity is like a man going into the sea to save a 6-foot parrot from drowning. You know, it's like there's just something about that makes people, I think, engage in the idea of how ridiculous doing this sort of thing when life can be so beautiful is. And again, that sort of absurdity of doing this. So Phil brought us the script, and we've been, hammering away at it for a very long time to try and get it into a place where we wanted to make it. And he wrote this short version, and we were like, yeah, we just want to go out and make this film.
Was the fact that you're from, like, that's your hometown, one of the reasons he reached out to you about it, or is it a coincidence? Or
it's sort of a coincidence. We've been talking about the play, and then I've always wanted to do a film in my hometown, and I've been trying to find a good story to do for ages. And every time I sit down and write one, I hit a brick wall and can't think of anything that works. And people was like, well, how about this?
awesome.
And I was like, yeah, that's so much fun. It's such a lovely little story.
Yeah. And Andrew, what drew you to this project?
Just the reality of it, really. And Blackpool, although I'm not from Blackpool, it's a seaside resort that is probably an hour away from where I grew up in Manchester. So it was a place that I liked the character in the film. I did visit. I remember, when we were there, we were doing press stuff. Thinking back on visits that I'd done there with my great grandma. Yeah. And to me, it was a piece about this town that in its heyday, in like the early 1900s, it was such a grand Victorian holiday destination that was looked after, and it was beautiful. And and then nowadays, because most people in the UK holiday abroad, Blackpool's been kind of left to sort of decay a little bit. But you scratch beneath the surface, and that charm and that is still there. And there were so many sort of connections between that and then the character of Billy. This is a man who's growing up in modern day Britain who, like Blackpool, would be sort of feeling ignored and forgotten about. Where again, scratch beneath that surface, he's a real man, and he's got so much to kind of offer the world in the end. And yeah, like I say, I've been lucky enough to work with Stephen a couple of times now. And when I sort of saw that he was attached, because the writer kind of came to us as well. And then I saw Stephen was attached, and I was like, "Oh, I know Stephen. I've worked with Stephen a few times now," and it just kind of all the dots kind of connected. And I wasn't meant to be playing Billy right at the beginning. We were looking for someone to play Billy. I was just solely a producer. And we looked at some people and things, and then I think Stephen and Phil just kind of said one day, well, you could play this. And I was like, could I? And then, it's it kind of clicked into place. And, again, thank you for them guys for thinking of me. And it's there was just loads of mirrors between what was in the script and sort of things that were personal to me, because the town is so close and so in my heart. And then the journey that Billy went through as well is sort of quite close to my heart as well. So yeah, it was it made sense when they asked me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, maybe I could give this a go.
It's kind of cliche, but I think it's true in this case that the town is a character in the film, and like you said, it mirrors the main character. Is this different for you, Andrew, than other characters you've played? Is that why maybe you didn't consider it in the beginning, or not for that reason?
Yeah, I think so. I think as an actor, there's you always try and give a little bit of yourself to each role that you play. I do think Billy's is probably a bit closer to me. I think when we originally wrote it, he was sort of down on his luck because he was an out of work actor. I know we don't really allude to that in the short. So obviously, I've been an actor 20 years. I've spent probably 19 and a half of them out of work, so I know how that feels. So yeah, like, there was that kind of drew me to it. Um, yeah, yeah, I think, and yeah, so I think there's a lot more of me, and obviously Stephen. It was great and helpful that me and Stephen knew each other and had that relationship, because I think at the start of filming, I was playing Billy very down, very, very one kind of dimensional. And
Mm,
Stephen kind of came over to me and he was like, put a bit more of you in it, put a bit more of Andy in it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna mess around. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more. And it just lifted the character, just adding that, that I know
yeah,
you wrote in your brilliant review, like kind of going from the fun playing around 1 minute to the depressed the other minute, because that's how depression works. That's how like life
yeah.
is. It's not all one note. So yeah, that definitely helped.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great part of this is like the depth of the character. Um, it's not just one note. He can be laughing and joking around, and the tone of the film can go, yeah, like from funny to dead serious, but it never feels like out of place or jarring, and it always flows well and it feels grounded and real, and that's really hard to do. A lot of times that can like distract or confuse the audience, like, oh, what is this, a comedy, is this a drama? But it never happens in this film. It all works together. um so what are your thoughts on that, Stephen? Any?
No, I think I mean I'm really great. What a beautiful thing to say, because it is so hard to get that right. Like, especially dark comedies, to get that tone really across, where it's like, oh, it's up and it's down. And I sort of said to Andy and to Phil, like when Phil was writing it, I was like, this feels like we're on a roller coaster. I want to feel like we're on a roller coaster. It's not all like go up, and then down for the rest of the film. It's like, oh crap, we're almost, similar to a roller coaster, similar to waves crash. Like there was all of that, and being by the seaside and being in Blackpool and stuff.
That's awesome.
Was always in my head. So it was like, how do we just manage this tone? And when we were cutting it, there was a point where I was like, something's not working. We didn't have it quite yet. And I mean, Stu, who edited the film, he did the opening, that opening montage, and when he did that, I was like, this is amazing. And then he was like, yeah, but I'm showing you a cut where this is amazing, and I haven't quite done the rest of it. And we had some really good sessions where I said to him, what is it that we're missing that we will help fill in the gaps? So the scene in the pub with Parrot was shot like 2 months later, because it wasn't there. And we had him, obviously he's there in the opening montage leaning against the wall, and then he's at the end, and we were like, we really need this other moment where he gets to have this, we find out that something's going wrong in his life, so that ending is so much more impactful because of this. And I messaged Phil and I was like, I think we need another scene here. And he went away, and we had a brief chat about like what that could be, and he was like, yeah, I'll write that. Wrote it, and then we got together in Manchester. It's the only scene not shot in Blackpool. We shot it in Manchester in a pub near Andy.
Oh.
And Andy's uncle, your uncle, plays the bouncer, right?
Yeah, my uncle's the bouncer who throws me out the pub. So he really went for it. Years of pent up aggression put into that one scene.
Well, speaking of that, what was kind of like the process like for this shoot? I mean, a lot of scenes that I'm curious about, especially like with the ocean stuff, and just going all over the town and stuff. Oh, I really like the was that like a tram that stopped right in front of you? Like how did you even coordinate that? Was that
That was it's such a simple. I mean, it should be such a simple shot because it's just a splice. Like, so the tram comes in, it stops. We let the tram go, and then Andy went and stood there.
I was thinking,
you can walk across the track, so it wasn't like there was no danger. You know, you could see about 2 miles either way, and the trams are obviously going quite slow. You know, we were always like, we can't put the camera on the tracks or anything, but we were like, all Andy has to do, there's not even like a step down. It's literally, you can walk across. So we were like, he just has to stand there, we'll do the shot, and literally we could see every, you know. But the problem was then to do the splice, we needed a clean plate. And there was no time that there wasn't a car going through the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I sent it to a friend of mine, Lee, who is a phenomenal VFX artist. And he went, I was like, is there any way you can do this? Because I've not got a clean plate. And he went, yeah, that's not a problem. Sent it back. And I think the reason that everybody thinks that it was done as one is because the car goes through the tram, like through the windows, and you can see it go off. Everyone's like, did you just put Andy there? Like, did you just? And I was like, no, I'm a sensible filmmaker. I mean, there are definitely things in the film that are guerrilla. Andy walking through a couple of the arcades. There's quite a few shots like of him, you know, when he goes and gets the hot dog and stuff. All of that in that opening montage, a lot of that is guerrilla. I would say that the karaoke's guerrilla, but actually they were kind enough to just let us go and film in there. But like, yeah, we went in, we all got a drink, and we just got Andy up on stage, and he just went for it. And
wow,
we got all of that stuff. So yeah, and the people of Blackpool were amazing. Like, the council don't like you filming anything that's not showing Blackpool in a positive light. But what they turned around to us and said, look, we can't officially give you permission to go and do this, but we won't stop you. Because they were like, you're a small enough crew, like, we really like this idea, but we can't really like allow you to do it, but we won't stop you. So the only times we got stopped was once filming outside of one of the piers. A security guard was like, you can't film. Blah, blah, blah. And then the only other time was the Coast Guard driving down and being like, you might want to get off the beach. Tide's coming in. So.
Did that derail any of the shots? Like, then they kicked you out, or did that kind of mess things up a lot, or not that much?
Not really. Like, I think we got pretty lucky. I mean, like I say, most of Blackpool were really helpful. Like,
it's such a beautiful town like that, isn't it? Like, you know, everyone is really friendly, even to the, you know, we sort of shot some rooms in a bed and breakfast sort of hotel, and the people who ran that hotel, they were really, really, you know, great. They let us use like their bar room to, you know, have as a base for food and for makeup and all that kind of stuff. But even then, like, they were just beautiful people. They were like, you know, they gave up their jobs in the city, moved to Blackpool, and run this sort of B&B to help people who've been, you know, become homeless and things like that. So everyone in the town just felt, and again, that's what I was saying before about, you just scratch beneath that surface a little bit and you find these real people who, you know, are out there doing, you know, amazing work for people. So yeah, there was no kind of trouble really, was there? It was a breeze.
Yeah, it really was. And we got, you know, I mean, officially the shoot was 2 days, 2.5 if you add the pub scene. But what we managed to get was like, we did a half a day before we were shooting, so like a pre-shoot, where we just got loads of the cutaways of the town. Then we did the 2 days of the shoot. Then Andy, myself, and Jamie, much to the reluctance of my DP, went up and just shot some more shots of Andy walking around, which is where the Booze and News shot comes from. And again, Andy just walked in to a shop, bought a bottle of vodka, and the guy was just like, "Yeah, you can film." You know, we were like, "Can we just film from the other side of the road?" He was like, "Yeah, fine, whatever." So and he has to go up to this counter like 4 times, buying this same bottle of vodka to walk out. And the guy was just like, "What are you doing?" And then we got an amazing drone operator, Adam, who just went up. Another Blackpool local, but he lives in London, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll go up and I'll just shoot you some drone footage." And he got really lucky with the weather. So, yeah,
the shots were great. Andrew, what was your kind of experience acting during the shoot? Because I mean, it seems like it could be a little chaotic, just being out in the city and stuff in the town. Was it different for you than other shoots, or was it not too difficult?
Yeah, no, it was. I've done stuff like that in the past. That kind of guerrilla sort of thing. It's not the hardest sort of. I've done some sketchy kind of guerrilla shooting things in the past. I was once playing a neo-Nazi and had to stand in the middle of a high street.
Yeah.
So that was worse. That was worse. But yeah, no. To me, it was. Yeah, it was fine. Again, I just had to kind of put myself in the headspace of Billy at this point. Really, when we did the DV stuff at the beginning, which was really guerrilla, I was just like, right, okay, this guy is, sort of on another planet at this point. And I just went with it. And again, the town really lends itself to that, because at night, at that time of year, it's really, it's lit up. We call it the Vegas of the North. It's kind of the best we can get to Las Vegas. And it's lit up, and people are out there to, have fun. There's lots of stag do's and hen parties and things like that. So, in the evening, the town becomes a much more open, fun place. So I just kind of embraced that and was just walking around, going up to people, asking them for cigarettes,
Wow.
just things like that. Just kind of playing with it. Really, as an actor, that's the best thing to do for me is to just immerse yourself in that world. And that world, luckily enough, was the perfect backdrop for this. And yeah, just playing around with it, obviously pretending to be drunk. I wasn't actually drunk. But yeah, just having fun with it and putting myself in his headspace. And then the same when we went back and we shot, as Stephen said there, we shot a couple of cutaways of, Billy in a doorstep sort of asleep, and, all little things like that. It just, yeah, because that was a dip, because then it was the daytime, right? And then you've got people actually looking at you thinking, "Oh my God, don't go near this guy." So that just as an actor, that just feeds you. People don't want to come near me because they genuinely think I'm drunk and I'm, smashing a bottle or whatever. So that kind of, for me, feeds that performance of, okay,
Yeah.
I can use that.
I think there's kind of like two ways to look at that. Like, on one hand, maybe to some actors it could be distracting, all the chaos, everything that's going on around, instead of filming inside of a house where it's more contained and you could just kind of focus on your lines and stuff. But on the other hand, like you said, it kind of feeds you as well. So it's a good way to approach that, because I think
Yeah,
go ahead.
as I say, I'm very much an improvisational actor. So I very much feed off. If people are coming up to me and talking to me in character and stuff, I'm not necessarily like Daniel Day-Lewis level of like method, but I'll stick with it and we'll just go with it. So it to me, acting is about not acting, right? It's about being. And sometimes when you are in a living room set and you've got these big lights and these cameras and for me it's harder to get into that because I'm not in a living room. There's a wall missing, where if I'm actually in Blackpool and I'm feeding off that energy, then that to me creates that. I'm not acting then, I'm just being,
Yeah, exactly. Well, about the scene specifically in the ocean, on the beach, Was any challenges regarding that, or was it pretty smooth?
I mean, there was George's availability was a challenge. George, who played Parrot, we only had him for a limited amount of hours that day, so we had to be very quick. But that kind of also helped because we didn't want too much coverage of all of that stuff. I think when the only moment that I kind of wish I had a little bit more of is when they look at each other just before Parrot runs off. I think I wanted another tighter shot on each of them. But otherwise, like the only challenge I think was I think the pair of you wanted to run further into the sea, and we didn't have like all the gear for the camera, so we were like, and I wanted to be quite close, so I was like, we can't go that far in. Like the camera's not waterproof. Yenny doesn't have any waders on or anything, and I'm just making a run into the like Irish Sea. But George and Andy were like so game for it, just like, oh, we'll just go for it. And I was like, health and safety wise, they were like, nah, I don't want to.
That was a great moment. What about what would you say you kind of wanted people to take away from this film? You know, and what do you want kind of the audience to think about or feel with this film?
For me, I guess, you know, to be able to kind of look at life sometimes through a different lens, and that's hard sometimes. You know, I've said this story a few times on like the press stuff that we've done, but I remember being in a very kind of dark place at one point and going to Blackpool with my daughter, my eldest at the time. She was very young, and I was in this dark place. You know, I'd not been acting for a while, and money issues and all that kind of real life stuff. And so I was just seeing this place for the bad. I was just seeing, you know, and my daughter, she was like 5 at the time. You know, she's looking around, seeing these bright lights, seeing this beautiful place, all the candy, all the, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was sort of in on myself, looking, you know, she's looking at one thing, seeing the amazing beautifulness of it. And I'm looking at the exact same thing, thinking how bleak and ugly and horrible and all that it is. And that's to me what the film is about. It's about this guy who goes to this place that he holds on to and he loves so much and just can't get past seeing everything in this distorted, dark way because that's how he's feeling until he starts connecting with these people. You know, the lady in the shop, the lady in the pub, the parrot, all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of slowly sinks in. And I think sometimes that's, you know, not to sound condescending to people who are, you know, going through any kind of issues like that at all, because everybody's different. But for me, that's what it kind of took to kind of turn me around to go, oh, okay, yeah, that's not that great, but look at how beautiful it can be. Look at that, you know, and I think that's, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it kind of goes off the back of what Andy's saying. It's like one of the things that Phil and I talked about a lot was hope. You know, we wanted it to be a hopeful ending. You know, we wanted. It's funny because some people have given us feedback on the film where they're like, "Oh, you show Blackpool in this really bad light," and I'm like, "Do you watch the end of that film?
Yeah.
Like, he is literally like his last words are visit Blackpool." And he means them sincerely. Like, he's like, visit this place. It's really cool. And I found it quite upsetting when people have missed that. Because I'm like, look, this film is about hope. It's not only hope for the people, but for the town itself. You know, as you said, the town plays a character. And it is all about as people, we can be better and we can make the places that we live better if we care about them and if we stop seeing them in this bad light. You know, I think it's very funny how people in Blackpool and people Sorry, my father-in-law just brought me a cup of tea. That's really lovely. How we see people in a lot of towns in the UK, and like loads of people say stuff about their towns, and they're like, "Oh, it's a shithole, it's this, it's that," and I'm like, you know, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if we just started talking about it in a better way, you know, and change that. And that's sort of like those two montages. It's like he talks about it in this really bleak way, but he even when he's talking about some of the stuff that's not amazing about Blackpool, he's talking about it in a positive light. You know, 1-star hotel, coffee, and TV. It's like you get this cool, you know, you get these things, and people will look after you, and you get cheap food, and you can get good nights out, and you get lovely people. So it was always, I think, hope is like the biggest message that I want people to take away. You know, hope for yourselves and hope for wherever you are in your life or in the country or in the world, things can always look better.
Yeah, it's like your perception of it can change. Yeah, I think that's a really cool message from it. What do you think that both of you have learned from this experience, this project? Whether it's, you know, from the message of the film or the process of shooting it. What do you think?
Oh, Stephen, do you want to go first?
Oh, you want me to go first? I was letting you go first while I had a think. Like, God, I mean, I learned a lot throwing myself into this because I know Blackpool so well. So I sort of knew where I wanted to shoot loads of different stuff. Jamie and Andy and Yenny, our DP, all went and sort of did recce's and sent me like videos of different places that they'd managed, you know, the interior stuff, but all the exteriors, I was like, this is where we're going to shoot this. This is where we're going to shoot that. And because I knew the town so well, I just enjoyed being like quite free with how I shot it and what we did, because I was like, every time they were like, oh, so what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? I'm like, look, we'll just go here. We'll just do this. You know, you can put the camera down wherever you want and it's beautiful. Like everything on that beach, you've got the pleasure beach behind him. Inspiration for Disneyland, by the way. Walt Disney saw the pleasure beach and it inspired Disneyland. That's how good Blackpool used to be. That's how good Blackpool used to be. And we can get it back there. Damn it, we will. And you know, so you've got like all of this, and then you can turn and you've got the tower down the other end, and it was so much fun to play with that like scope, which is something that a lot of cities and towns that you film in, like you can't really get that, especially in the UK. A lot of towns are so like high buildings, insular and everything else, that you can't feel this like wonderful scope. And Blackpool's so vast as a city, or as a town, because it's not a city, but as a town, that you've got all of this. And I learned that, you know, and everybody said this, Shiraz, our casting director, and loads of other people have said this to me, for a film made on absolutely nothing, everybody says that it doesn't look like it was shot on nothing.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful to, you know, our Yenny, our colorist, Grace Weston, our sound editor, James Drake, who actually him and Jules did the sound editing on Adolescence. So, you know, we had these amazing people.
Oh, wow.
Lawrence, our composer, like the score is really lovely and beautiful. And it just, every part of it, you know, from Andy's performance to all the other actors, George and Co that are in it, and Daisy and everyone, even our other two producers, you know, make an appearance. Lewis plays the Malcolm, the comedian, and Jamie's the tram stop guy. Like, we had everybody in it, and you know, and it was just about that sort of everybody knuckling in and going, look, we will make this for nothing, and we will make it look exceptional, because we had a really strong story and we had a really strong idea. And you know, my vision all the way through was like, it's Train Spotting meets Florida Project, and I was like, that's what I want to capture. And And I think we did, and just learning like those kind of having those lessons of when you know what you want to do, you've got that freedom to explore a little bit was really fun. It was really, really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing that kind of clicked as a producer before shooting, I think one thing that I learned was the power of human connection for a film that is essentially about human connection and how this person starts allowing other people in. You know, when we started producing, because obviously we are based in Manchester, so we're about an hour away from Blackpool. So we were trying to get locations by emailing people, cold calling people. You know, can we film in your hotel? Can we film on your pier? And just getting the phone put down, I'll get my manager to call you back, all that kind of stuff. And then one day we were like, look, it's an hour's drive. Like we can be there before, 11 o'clock. Let's go. Let's just get on the ground. Let's just go and chat to people. And the first hotel we went in, we booked it because we just went in and we were like, hi, we're filmmakers. We're making this film. We've got like next to no money, but we can like hire a room. We'll make sure people come in here and buy a few drinks. And people were just so much more receptive. I think we live in a world now where everything's so digital and so, I mean, we're doing this over Zoom, which is great. I would have loved to have come to Hollywood. But, we forget that human element. And when that then affects over into our work as filmmakers and we're, why is nobody letting us film here? It's because they don't know who's on the other end of that email or who's on the other end of that phone call. And yeah, so that for me is one thing that, as a producer, I took away from it. That, real people need that real connection. If you want something done, go make an impression, chat to people, show them who you are, let them in a little bit as well. And yeah, we managed to, like you say, get some great spots where, we wouldn't have got via an email,
Oh wow, okay, that's a good approach, and it's crazy that you didn't have much of a budget. It seems like it was actually expensive. I would have guessed that it would have been very expensive. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I think Andy and I made a short film a few years ago called Unexpected Item. I think I had 3 times the budget that we had for Blackpool, and that's all in one location. Like,
wow.
That's
true.
Yeah.
So it is like I mean, it was so hard to try and find funding, and like in the climate that we're in, obviously, I guess you're feeling it over there, Dave, like in terms of Hollywood and stuff isn't LA's not booming like it used to. It was really hard to find that, and the determination of the crew and the cast to just go, fuck it, we're just going to do it. I mean, Daisy flew back from Ibiza to film with us for 2 hours. Like, she just came and did that. And, it was all those little things. And everybody just connected to it. We had the makeup artist, makeup designer who worked on, she's just worked on Adolescence. She's like worked on Brassic and loads of other stuff. And again, because she's a Blackpool local, and me and her kind of, we didn't grow up together, but I grew up with her now husband, and then we knew each other, so it was like, oh, that's a good connection. And we just kept getting all these like beautiful little connections where people were like, we'll help, we'll do what we can, we'll all try and just chip in where we can.
That's awesome. One thing I would ask about is like, what was the perception from people from Blackpool? How have they reacted?
Very mixed.
Really?
Yeah, we screened at Lytham Film Festival, and some people really loved it, and then other people were like, "Oh, it shows our town in a bad light and puts it back 50 years, tourism back 50
Wow.
years." And you really didn't get it. Like, you clearly not understood, the film itself. And it's funny because other people. I met some people in Cannes a few weeks ago in Cannes, and they were like, "Oh, so was this shot in like the States, and you just made it look like, you know, how did you make it look like a Coney Island type place?" And I was like, "No, that place exists. It's in like, you know, it's in England." And I think for us, you know, what's been great is about trying to get it around the world and people going, Blackpool seems fun. This seems like a crazy place to go. And it's like, oh, we haven't set tourism back 50 years, you know, not that like the whole of the world seeing our film, but also like people are intrigued by this place. Whereas I think some of the locals have kind of missed the point. But my whole family loved it, and they're, you know, a lot of them are Blackpool locals and stuff. So they understood the feeling of it. You know, they got it, which was really nice.
I think the parts that are perceived as negative are kind of like adding to the charm of it. You know, it's showing it as like these negative aspects are kind of the charming aspects, but it is a place that has a personality and it's like worth visiting. So I think that was made clear. And I guess last thing, any upcoming projects from either of you maybe you want to shout out?
I'll shout out Armor again. So doing that I'm very excited about, which we will hopefully start on next year. Web series, 10-part web series about a gay Premiership footballer coming out while still playing. So that I'm really excited about, and I've got a few writing projects that I've just started on. So yeah, just trying to get as much going as possible at the minute.
Awesome.
From us, we same a month after we shot Blackpool, we shot another short film called The Pit, which is a look at the British battle rap world, told from the perspective of a event promoter. And that, again, you know, similar to Blackpool, we shot that on even less of a budget than Blackpool. But it looks like we spent a lot of money on it. So yeah, that's due out soon. We've got some sound edits to work out, but yeah. And then acting wise, I'm available. No, I've got a few projects a few projects sort of lined up. I just finished on a children's cartoon over here. I think it's out in the States actually on Netflix. Called Sweet Potato. So that's fun. That keeps me busy.
Did some voiceover for that,
Dave? Yeah, I play a chili pepper in a kids cartoon. It's good fun. Something my kids can watch because they can't watch Blackpool just yet.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, it was great talking to you both about the film. I loved it, and I look forward to having it screened in LA and see what people think. And yeah, I think it was really impressive, the acting, the directing, and everything. So it was great talking to you both. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to your upcoming projects as well.
Thank you so much, Dave. Appreciate it.
Lovely speaking to you, Dave.
All right. See you guys.
Good
Bye.
luck with the first one. See you in a bit.
Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.